Mabuhay!
Hi! Welcome to
The Babaylan Bruha Book Club podcast.
It's Your Village Kapwatids, Steph
and Aimee, and here we are together again. And as always, in efforts to decolonize our minds, bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So this is our invitation for you to join us on our journeys as we discuss the works of honored artists, authors, and thought leaders in the Filipinx diaspora.
Quick disclaimer, we want to acknowledge that in this moment, everyone is exactly where they need to be.
And since we are not experts, yet we share our own unique lived experiences, we invite you to take or toss any statements, opinions, words that we may use as you choose.
We are so glad you found your way here.
So as always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground, taking a pause to drop into our bodies and become fully present into this space. If it's safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus now onto your breath. I invite you now to take a deep inhale and push your belly button out. And when you exhale, bring your belly button in. Ready? And exhale. Let's do that one more time together. Inhale and exhale. You can breathe now on your own, but just connect back into this moment. Try not to think about earlier or later on today. Can you just allow yourself to be here in the here now moment? And as we begin this conversation, we'd like to thank God, Batala, Creator, for another gathering. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and invite all these forces to guide and protect this conversation today. We also want to thank the ancestors of the lands Aimee and I occupy, knowing that we can't do our own remembrance work without remembering them. So for Aimee, that's the mound builders and the Hopewell and Adena people in Ohio. And for myself, that's the Bay Miwok Yokut tribes in the Bay Area of California. And with gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, Kapwatid. Thank you for tuning in, your energy, your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in. All right, now, time for Bruha Tings. 90 seconds. Y'all know the drill. What some Bruha things we've been up to. And I just want to say happy Gregorian New Year.
Yeah.
That'll lead into my Bruha Tings, sis.
Yeah. Okay. Happy Gregorian 2023 New Year. Let's go. And go.
Bruha Tings. So yeah, I have been decolonizing or bruhaing my calendar. What kind of calendars do I follow? And I realized it's more than just this Gregorian one. Who is Gregory or Greg?
Freaking Greg. Am I right?
I was like, why am I listening to Greg only? I'm gonna listen to myself. So I follow my moon calendar, which is my cycle. I've been I think I read something compelling the other day. It was like men kind of flow with the sun and women, we flow with the moon. And that makes sense because as someone who is learning how to work in this capitalistic society with a very much a cycle, how do I honor the times of the month when I'm more energetic or when I'm more tired? And so that's a calendar I've been recalibrating. The Gregorian one, obviously, because right now we got to follow it. And just really been thinking about the calendars that I follow. And like, how does that run in my life unconsciously or consciously? My school calendar, right? I got a school calendar. And just like, the last year, Sissy, I think, welcome back, everybody. As I was saying, last year was, the winter, the seasonal calendar, the seasons, like humans, like it just felt weird to be productive at the end of the year. Like in grad school, I was like, well, I gotta write all these papers and I should be hibernating. All right, I'm done. But yeah, Bruja. I just been looking at my calendars.
I love it. I'm for it. Yeah, I was so on the if you are male identified or so you have more testosterone. If you run on your testosterone, you literally are the sun. Like you go to sleep and then when you wake up, you have the same amount of energy every day, just like the sun. But if you're more estrogen, like you're born female presenting, like, yeah, so your estrogen, we go on the cycle. So we're every day is different. We have like one good week, I think.
Yeah, what's that thing that in relationships, cis hetero ones, like the boyfriend was like, my girlfriend's only normal like 1 week during the month.
Yeah, and it's very true. It's
And
very
cycles
true.
are 28 to 30 days. So, anyways.
But yeah, I was like, only Gregory, a man, would have a reset in the middle of winter. We're
Listen,
resting. Listen, the start of the year isn't until spring, friend.
I'm so tired of white cis hetero men, Eurocentric cis hetero men telling us how to live. Okay. Like,
Okay.
respectfully. All right.
Respectfully, Gregory, I'm gonna follow the moon. But no. Yes. Okay.
All right. Your turn, sis. Ready? Go.
Okay. So I have my Bruha Tings. Let's see. December really knocked me on my ass, honestly. So I have been keeping my Bruha Tings very, very simple. And to reach a certain place in your practice, just like everything feels Bruha Tings, right? So there are some moments where I've just really had to um like pause, like literally take a pause or even pause and go into the next room and just take some deep breaths and like sit with my inner child and be like, okay, I hear that we're fearful, like, and just really take um a moment to do that. And I feel like, so that's emotional, right? So that's like therapeutic, but it's a bruja thing because energetically, you are fucking making magic. You are energetically changing things. So, but that's been a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I've been doing. But I just been keeping it real simple, just waking up, taking some breaths, see how I feel today. And that's all you can do sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's time, but that's time for me.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like that, no, it's okay. If you're working, go to the bathroom, take a pause, take a moment for yourself, walk around the building. You deserve it.
You deserve it. Sometimes Bruja Tings, you don't have to do all the grandiose things. You can just do the simple things too.
Yeah. Yep. So that is our Bruha Tings lately. Just hopefully it inspires you to take a look at your life and do things maybe just a little bit more intentionally. So there you go.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So now we're going to transition to Brown Girl Cliff Notes. So this chapter, what chapter are we on? Chapter 9.
9.
Yeah. So it's a lot of he said, she said, and so they say. That's sort of how it felt. Judy walks us through a metaphorical big fish breakdown of the known and yet not as known yet legendary Mactan chief who conquered Magellan in the Battle of Cebu, Cilapupu. Cilapupu. I don't know, potato, respectfully, ancestor, but kind of funny too, like Cilapupu, like
See?
Steph.
Yeah.
You know?
Lapu.
See?
See?
Funny. Okay. Citing our frequent historian Pigafetta's words with the Philippine Daily Inquirer, Ambeth Ocampo and Daniel Gerona, along with Resil B. Mojares, a Cebu historian and scholar who wrote the Philippine Quarterly of Culture and Society, and Lapu, the Conqueror of Magellan, whose work actually built off the previous finds of another celebrated Filipino historian, Heidi K. Gloria. So a lot of historians and their work cited here. Judy kind of brings it all together, and we talk about things like loanword, Loan word, loanword evolutions, Mojares and Gloria's historical research and analyses. They're kind of the more predominant ones cited in this chapter. Take us on a comparison ride to consider the level of authority and power that Chief Cilapulapu had. Tune in with us as we talk about the story of Chief Cilapulapu's father, Datu, which is another chief, right? Mangal, and his quarrel with Captain Silyo that led to Chief Cilapulapu's acquisition of a debatable magical alho, ALHO. We'll talk about that in a bit. Weapon from a biyanti tree. It's a coconut tree, sis. And how this weapon became the final lance that pierced Magellan before his fall.
Oh.
So we can truly consider how much hearsay is occurring in modern day to connect the dots of our rich pre-colonial Philippines history, allegedly only passed down predominantly via oral folklore, with a couple of daring historians who are writers sprinkled in through the test of time and rediscovery.
Love that. Thank you for that beautiful summary, Sissy says. But yeah, this chapter was there. Yeah, it was very, he said, she said, there's a lot of myth, there's a lot of fact. So it's kind of like, where do you land with all of this? So, oh yeah. And then Datu Mangal was in a fight with Captain Silyo. Is that was his name? Captain? He was a captain.
Cilio, yeah.
Cilyo. But yeah, over an anting.
Oh, yes.
Which is, if you remember from our previous seasons, it's like it's a special thing. So there's myth around that as well. So, but let's just dive in and have some conversation.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so let's just dive in. Again, as always, what we do is we kind of pick out some vocabulary words and quotes from the book that kind of struck us, and then we just have a conversation. So, like Steph mentioned before, Ati Judy talks about loan words, and she like I'm going to loan you something, or a bank loan. And she brings this up because Lapu is actually also the name of a fish in modern Philippines that people cook up and steam and eat, interestingly enough. So it's, I guess people were like, why? Like, did they name the fish after Lapu, or is the Lapu named after the fish, after the fact, or whatever? So I'm just going to read this. The Mactan warriors led by Cilapupu were victorious over Magellan and his men in 1521. Today, variations of his name range from Lapu, so Lapu, Lapu -Lapu, to Cilapulapu, Silapu, no dashes or spaces. So misconceptions around whether the fish was named after Cilapulapu or the other way around. The best explanation I found was from a blog that said the naming evolved from loan words. So simply put, loan words are words adopted from one language by speakers of another. One loan word that's common in English is like cafe, which is a French word that means coffee. Another word is kindergarten, which literally means children's garden in German. So generally they are used without alteration, but often these loan words evolve or become corrupted over time. For example, bagas, Bagas, in Malay probably evolved to bangus in Filipino, and both mean milkfish. Bilis, a common anchovy in Malay, sounds similar to dilis, which also means anchovy in Filipino. This probably best explains why Kerapu, Kerapu, became Lapu in the Philippines because Kerapu is Malay for grouper. So they were saying that maybe we're not really naming the fish that we eat on daily after one of our national heroes. We're not saying that, but because of loan words that it may have sounded like Kirapu, so Lapu. But I feel like Sissy, we talked about this throughout all the seasons, how Filipinos love to take two words and mash them together,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Names.
this is what we do. This is loan words. So um I never really considered whether or not Lapu was named after the fish or the other way around, but I just thought it was interesting. Loan words, like you brought up, and then just realizing that we do that anyway as a culture, just subconsciously.
Yeah, so now I'm gonna look at my friends' names that are merged. Like that's a loan word. Like you
Yeah.
merged your mom and your dad's name
Yeah.
into one. One of my favorites is Claricel. It's like Claire and Etzel.
Oh.
Claricel.
Yeah. Well, before we even had kids, um, Rob and I we were talking about what we would name potential children in the future. And so we were gonna do that thing where we combine the name.
Raimi.
So
Raimi.
Romy.
Romy.
Isn't it cute
Oh,
though?
it is.
Romy,
If you
Rome.
have a third, you could name it.
Nope. 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 It's a lot just conscious parenting too. You may try me.
Listen, I got props to any parents out there. Like, thank you for bringing in the next generation. All right.
So that is my words. I am complete.
Wonderful. Thank you for that word, sis. Mine is on page 145. And it's kind of not really a word. There's multiple words, but I wanted to cite the mythical chief superpowers. Like they definitely talked about Zula, and Zula is a chief who asked for Magellan's help in battle. Magellan's help in battling Cilapupu, but he's been omitted in this story for some reason. Again, hearsay. But Raja Humaban. So, anyways, mythical chiefs and their superpowers were obviously exaggerations, according to Mojares. And Pigafetta account only mentions Cilapupu and Zulu as chiefs of Mactan. But what I really wanted to highlight that, like, sorry, it's on page 44. Judy talks about how in the fight between Cilapupu Magellan, like the elements started to fight too, like the starfish and the water and the like all the natural marine kind of animals or creatures were part of it. So like the shoreline, tricky shadows, mangroves, coral reefs. Where am I going with this? So when it comes to talking about like bringing in that fantastical elements, magic and all of that piece into these past few pages, they talk about how some of the chiefs had superpowers too. And that's why Cilapupu was the most powerful, because he had like kind of all of them.
Yeah, he rolled with it on 141. They talk about the chiefs and not 141. 139.
Sorry, yeah.
He talks about like his barcada. They talk about his posse.
I redact. Yeah, 139. Sorry, y'all. Thank you, sis, for bringing the page. Yeah, so chiefs and their names are based on their superpowers. So Bali Alho could break a pestle with his bare hands without straining himself, because Bali means to break and alho means pestle, or a wooden, club, like the pestle and mortar. Sagpang Baha had a tremendous strength that he could slap or smack back a rushing flood. Tindak Bukid was the chief who could level a mountain with a kick.
Whoa.
Bugto Pasan could break sturdy vines with his bare hands as if they were pieces of string. And Umindig, meaning to stand, was a champion wrestler who humbled all the other chiefs in wrestling bouts with the exception of Cilapulapu, who of course was the strongest of them all and possessed supernatural powers. So yeah, this is from Ate Gloria's research. I want to cite her really quick. But the chiefs in neighboring villages recognized Cilapupu, and it made me think of Marvel for a second. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the closest reference we
Oh
have.
my, yeah, oh my gosh, when you're saying the names, even when I read them earlier, like I just saw like the Marvel movies, and like, you know, when they come on the scene and they're like all majestic, look, like I saw that,
Yes.
they're like doing their mountain kick move and like, you know,
Yes,
the
yes. I
camera.
watched the Rock version. I don't know if y'all seen Black Adam yet, but I
No.
started the Rock fan because my mom is. And so
Oh my gosh. Was it good?
it was pretty good.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie. Some parts were, but you know, the movie. But yeah, they have a group of justice, global justice warriors, whatever. And I was like, and then I watched it with my partner, and he was like, "Yeah, that one does that, and that one does this. That's their superpower. That's their superpower." And I was like, "Oh," and they're like how they battle, and they all bring their powers in.
Yeah.
Cool
Yeah. That's what this feels like, right? This like some Filipino,
magic.
yeah, superheroes. I thought it was interesting too. Like, so in the stories, they're like the sea helped us, like the sea creatures. And so Ati Judy, I don't know what page is on, but she mentions how um like if you would think about where Magellan and his men were coming into Mactan, and like how they would just seemingly be already, because of their armor and everything, they would seemingly already be taken down by the waves. So it's kind of like truth and myth coming together, right? The truth is it's probably both, and like who knows, there's probably some spiritual stuff happening too. You can't dismiss that. So it's just interesting how I yeah, I just thought it was interesting how like, oh, people could look at it both ways, that like, oh, that's just
The
normal,
shore being the
natural.
shore.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
it's like mythical. But why can't it be both?
Yeah. And like Bruha moment, I pictured like, I don't know, using cinema because it's visual. Harry Potter, like when they fought, I watched, yeah, it was like December. And it was like, what do you do between December 26th and New Year's?
Watch
They
the Harry Potter movies.
You
Yeah.
okay, right? That's a ritual. Anyways, so like the seventh movie when they're battling at the castle, you got like the giants coming in and the tree, like they're all fighting. It's anyways.
Yeah. 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 All the elements. So anyway, are you complete,
I'm
Sissy?
complete. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing those up.
All right. So quote time. Page 148 to 149 is mine, and I talk about Cilapulapu's image. So a lot of, again, hearsay, what we think. After Magellan's, as we discussed in the last chapter, Magellan's body, they decided to keep it, right? Because they wanted to bring it back to Spain and do the burial, whatever. But Silapulapu in the village was like, nah. So they kept it for memorial. And they talk about how the Magellan Monument is a stone obelisk built in 1866 during the Spanish colonial period, while the more recent Cilapulapu monument is a bronze statue of a muscular warrior. So I wanted to bring up this piece that I think who found it? Some Filipinos are up in arms recently with the depiction of Cilapupu because Philippine historian Daniel Gerona found historical documents that describe the Mactan chief as a, quote, chubby 70-year-old man. And there seemed to be disappointment that he was not the young viral, that's a word, warrior imagined through the years from the legends. I don't understand the obsession of heroes based on physical looks or brute force. And so if he was, as Dr. Judy says, an active 70-year-old woman with the life expectancy in Europe, that was actually more than, because Europeans were dying more because they had a lot of disease, right? I just wanted to bring this up to y'all because it kind of broke that monument thinking, like, it's like a moment of body image. Let's reconsider
Yeah.
actually see these heroes to look like. And sure, muscles equate to strength. However, if he was a chubby 70-year-old man, then he still took down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you look on the outside. They're like, I'm going on a tangent now. But yeah, that I think that's an interesting conversation too. How like automatically people got an image in their head, and so it's like, where does that image come from? Why couldn't it be someone quote unquote chubby, whatever that means? And like why couldn't it be somebody that's older? Right, that's not who we picture, because we don't value those people. We think, oh, like people who are traditionally fit, who have big muscles, that's who's going to protect me. But honestly, like time and time again, like the more I've been look like doing my martial arts journey and fitness journey, it's not the people who have like defined muscles who are the strongest. They just look good, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, I hijacked that. I felt like I hijacked
that. No, it's okay. It's just the conversation of like body image, and you can't judge a book by its cover. And while it's, again, we're not trying to shame on the opposite spectrum of folks who are muscular and have strength. It's true, but it's just consider the possibility that this quote, like you said, I love what you said, is whatever chubby means. I mean, shit, they eating rice and pork, all day.
Yeah,
and it goes like.
And he was a chief. He probably didn't do much, I mean, like if he was like the most powerful chief and he was older, like say he was 70, people would probably be like, no, I'll get that for you.
Feed you, right? Because what do they do? The leaders in the community, like always feeding them shit, and Filipino eat so much. Granted, it's American pork, but I'm just saying, like, eating pork and rice. What are you gonna do? He might have a little belly, might not have a six pack, and what?
And so what? That's Lolo's kicking ass.
I literally wrote so. Yeah, exactly. In my book. So what?
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Yeah.
Are you complete, Sissy?
Complete.
Okay. All right. So as we wrap it up, I wanted to bring attention to page 150 and actually 146 as well. So Mojares is somebody that one of the sources that Ati Judy cites, and Ati Judy writes at the end of the chapter that Mojares noted the Philippines has not fully embraced Cilapupu as a national hero. For one thing, little is known about him, and for another, there is doubt as to whether his feat in Mactan can be characterized as a resistance against foreign invaders or a case of local politics. And so she was saying local politics because if we look back on page 146, in Richard J. Field's article revisiting Magellan's voyage to the Philippines, so Magellan had said Raja Humaban was supposed to be the dude, right? He's supposed to be the guy that everyone's supposed to obey. And so they were like, Cilapulapu, you have to obey Raja Humaban. And Cilapulapu, quote, responded to the envoys of Magellan that he was unwilling to come and do reverence to one whom he had been commanding for a long time, end quote. So it sounded like Pigafetta misunderstood local politics and thought that Raja Humaban was more influential than Cilapulapu. And perhaps Pigafetta omitted the description of Cilapulapu because it did not fit his narrative of Magellan as the conquering hero, right? So Magellan was trying to be all buddy-buddy with Raja Humaban, but really it was Cilapulapu that really everybody answered to. So, and then it said from the last thing that I read, like there is doubt as whether his feat in Mactan can be characterized as a resistance against foreign invaders or just a case of local politics, like, oh, Humaban, I'm mad about the Humaban thing. But, as with like myth and the truth, like why can't this be both? And maybe it was both. He didn't like how Raja Humaban was acting, and then also he was like, I'm not really sure about these particular traders that have come through, right? Because there have been foreigners before. It's a trades place, but he was probably like, I just don't have a good feeling about Magellan. So could have been both and as well. Maybe. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
And besides, yeah, like, is it resistance against foreign invaders or is it just local politics? I think anything is like dichotomy. It was probably a little bit of both.
So. Yeah. This is a good one, sis, because I didn't consider how the politics play, systems, right? Systems in place that play a role of people in power and how things are documented and recorded. So
yeah, like, yeah, how myths are like, this was a big giant story, Magellan being defeated by Lapu, but like there's everyday nuances to it, like local politics and just everyday shit. Yeah. So anyway, that is my quote. Just a invitation to consider the both and of everything.
And I know earlier we didn't get to mention the Unting war thing going on, but dive into it. I mean, y'all can read about why. Read chapter 9. That's a good one. Unless you want to share really quick your takes, sis, because I know I missed that detail.
Yeah, it was just that so the story was Datu Mangal, who is Cilapulapu's dad, had an anting. So that gave him strength. So Datu Mangal was also very strong. So he was buddies, I guess, with some guy named Captain Silyo, and Captain Silyo was going to be in a fight. He was like, can I borrow your anting so that I can win? So I don't know why Datu Mangal was like, yeah, sure, here, you can have it. And so you can borrow it. So of course, Captain Silyo wins his fight, but he never brings the anting back. But honestly, Datu Mangal probably played himself. He shouldn't have
never let someone, so that's a lesson. Yeah. But what I thought was interesting how he turned on his friend and then he like sent a curse on him to be petrified.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
Datu Mangal was like, he took his powers and basically used his powers to like petrify or like make his friend turn to stone. And then so in his last like turning to stone, he sent a message to his son, like, you need to go make something magical. And basically
it was the alho, talho.
Yeah, which is he basically fashioned a magical alho, which is a pestle from the tree. And did he go get it from Captain Silyo, sis? I don't know, but that's the weapon he used to kill Magellan.
Yes, that is what.
Maybe they omitted that part. Yeah, so I have questions still. This is on page 144, y'alls. Scientific explanation. In explaining Captain Silyo, there's a diminutive of the Spanish Captain Basilio. She said it must have been a later addition to the story that might have been introduced to provide the explanation for Datu Mangal's petrification. So I don't know if he became totally petrified. I still have questions. It didn't elaborate, y'all, but that was really interesting. How
so many questions.
Yeah, like what happened to the dad? So he became petrified. I wonder what that correlates to in terms of a scientific diagnosis. Like,
right,
because his anting got taken from him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's
But
probably
anyways,
both and.
because of that, Cilapulapu had a magical, because his dad instructed him to do that. So
Yeah, and warned him about the he was saying that there's going to be some invaders, and he warned him about Magellan. So it seems as that's probably why he was ready. He was ready. He's ready to fight. So, but anyway.
you love it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm done. Instigating. Complete.
Complete. So as we end our conversation and close out this container with so much gratitude, we recognize and honor all our ancestors and the ancestors of the lands we occupy. We also recognize and honor you, dear Kapatid, for joining our conversation today. And as always, your ates leave you with a blessing. As you continue on this journey of remembrance, may you know that the truth of your ancestors lies in the sacred both and so does the truth of this decolonization work. While it is both frustrating to forget, it is also liberating to remember. You have been called to this sacred work, and while you may find grief, may you know you will also find joy. May the remembrance of Kapwa anchor you into your heart, and until we meet again, may you know that all is well and will be well, and that no matter what happens,